Hi, this is Christopher Allen with ZebraZapps.com. This short video tutorial is on using arena transitions. Let's take a quick look at what we'll be building. Here I have an arena with 5 pages, and I've got a next and previous button to transition between each of those 5 pages. And as you can see, as I flip through each one of the pages, I've got a 1-second crossfade. Let's dive right in and start building this interaction from scratch. Okay, our first step is to add an arena to the stage. Let's grab the arena from the toolbox and we'll draw one right about here on the stage. And you notice, if this is the first time that you've been working with arenas, at the very top is a controller that allows you to page forward and back. These buttons over here on the right add and delete pages to this arena. And I invite you to take a look at some of the other arena tutorials for a more complete picture about how to use an arena. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to set up 5 pages. And I've imported some assets earlier into my project. And I'm just going to grab a ping image to take up the entire space of the arena and 1 image per page. So let's go ahead and do that quick. So placing an image, I'm just going to lock my images into place once they're inside the arena. This is a great technique for wiring to arenas. It helps you select and move them around if you've locked the image or background in place. Put 2 rhinos here on page 3. Have some lions for page 4. Again, I'll use the position lock on the message center for the lions, just so now when I grab the arena and move it around, I can select anywhere on the image because it's locked in place. And our final page, we'll put an elephant at the end. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and grab my arena and let's take a look at its message center here. I'll move it up over here to the corner, and we want to take a look at properties. To find transitions for arenas, look under the Actions tab. Here I'll zoom in so that you can get a better look at my message center, and open up the Actions tab. Here near the top there are 3 properties: transition type, transition tween, and transition seconds. These are the 3 properties that we need to alter if we want to have transitions between pages. So let's just take a look at a couple. The first thing that we'll need to do is add transition time. We'll start with a second. This allows us to see what the transition looks like, and we'll choose a type. Let's maybe start with a slide left to right. And I'll zoom back out. I don't need to do anything else other than give it a transition type and a duration, and then I can use the arena controller at the top to see how this particular transition will look. So let's page backwards. So you can now see that the pages are sliding from left to right, and it doesn't matter which direction. So I invite you to take a look at all of the different transition types that we have for arena pages. Let's go back to a crossfade. And here it doesn't much matter which direction you're paging. So in the interaction that I had set up earlier, we had a couple buttons, and those are kind of fun to set up too. So let's take a look at setting up some buttons. And if you recall, the previous button was not available when the arena was on page 1, and on page 5 the next button wasn't available, and I want to show you a quick little trick for doing that. Let's first create our next button. Just create a push button, label it next, and now since my images are locked on all the different pages, just kind of mousing over is going to get me the arena message center. It's a really nice tip for managing message centers when some things on the page are are not required. Here I'm going to connect button pressed to go to next page on the arena. Let's see how that looks. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to create one more button. We'll call this our previous button. And I want to wire that up to the ends under do, go to the previous page. And let's run it. Now I'm on page 1. Clicking the previous button won't bring me to page 5 as it's not going to loop around. So having it available when we're on page 1 isn't very useful to our user. So I'd really only want to have the previous button available on pages 2, 3, 4, and 5, and on the very last page I'd like to get rid of my next button. So let's use a couple of really handy built-in ribbons on the arena. Again, we're going to go ahead and open up properties, and this time we're going to look under values, and I'll zoom in here. Down at the bottom, button next is set to true if the next button should be active. So here we're smartly knowing whether or not we're on the first page or the last page. If we're in anything but the last page, button next will be true, and if we're on anything but the first page, previous will be true. Here I'm on the very first page of my arena, so previous button is false. So in the interaction before, I just used these properties and bound them to the visibility of my buttons. So now, binding the previous button property ribbon off my arena to the previous button's visibility now makes that button invisible. And I'm going to do the same thing for the next button. Taking button next off of the arena and wiring that to the visibility of my next button. So let's see how this works. On page 1, my previous button isn't visible. I move to page 2. That ribbon that we just wired up went from true to false, or false to true. And now we've got our previous button visible. And when I get to the very end, my next button disappears. So a fast way to put together a couple elegant slides, have smart buttons, and build transitions into your arenas. Good luck!